How's everybody doing tonight? We're back on the Rock Fantasy Files. Another edition of the Rock Fantasy Files. Tonight, we set the time machine back 20 years ago to the year 2004. I'm your host, Stephen Keeler from Rock Fantasy, coming to you from the Rock Fantasy Studio Bunker. And we're going to talk about our favorite albums from that year. That's what I gave everyone the assignment tonight. I've got Miles of Metal back in the house. We got Obie from Norway. We got Ed Farsley, Armageddon Productions. We got Count Ralphus in the center square tonight. We got Frank Tosi from Another Demon. We got Nick Zinn, newcomer to the show, but he's from the band Spellbook. Make sure you check them out from York, Pennsylvania. We got Mr. Stephen Levin, of course, from old Rock Fantasy worker and longtime friend. And we got Tracy Stanton from what radio station are you on, Tracy?
WXAX radio.
Excellent. Every Tuesday she does a show on there. I guess every Tuesday, maybe even more. So
yep, the Den of Debauchery.
The Den of Debauchery. And Tracy's a good friend too. It's good to have the whole Denny's not going to make it. He's under the weather. John McAtee's on tour in Europe with Decapitated and Nervosa, so he's not going to be here tonight. But he's doing something that's cool out there, and he will be back in April, he said. So I'm running the roost tonight. So we're going back to the year 2004. Here's a few stories from the year. First, I'm going to do some sports. Martin did this years ago, so I kind of threw it together. The Patriots beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl. In baseball, the Red Sox swept the St. Louis Cardinals. In the NHL, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Steve's favorite team, beat the Calgary Flames in 7 games. In the NBA, the Detroit Pistons stunned the Lakers. In other news, Facebook was launched. It was the first year ever Facebook.
God damn.
And notable deaths that year, Rick James passed away, Ray Charles, and former President Ronald Reagan. The #1 film in the country that year was Shrek 2. And Toho Studios released Godzilla's 50th anniversary movie, Godzilla Final Wars. That's my little bit of notes. So when I think of 2004, I think of concerts too. I was thinking back to that year and stuff I went to see. And if you lived in the Hudson Valley, tri-state area of New York, most of the tours came through B.B. King's back then on 42nd Street. Most of the metal bands came through there or at Irving Plaza. And of course, we had the chance in Poughkeepsie that got a lot of shows. The biggest one that year, which I remember being considered, I believe, was the best lineup ever for Ozfest. It was Ozfest 2004. It featured the original lineup of Black Sabbath for headlining. It was Judas Priest, Slayer, Dimmu Borgir, and Superjoint Ritual and Black Label Society on the main stage. That for those that weren't familiar with Ozfest, younger people that are watching don't remember, they had the second stage also had 14 bands on it. It was a long day of metal. On the second stage that year was some, I won't list them all, but Slipknot, Hatebreed, Lamb of God, Devil Driver, Unearthed, Lacuna Coil, and many others. I caught that tour 3 times. I remember we used to get up at like 6 in the morning to go to this because these extravaganzas, because the first band would start at 9:30 a.m. and you wouldn't leave till after 11 o'clock at night. So Ozfest 2004, many memories. In Camden, I was told by a guy that I knew that was working security there that I should leave. It was like, I think when maybe before Slayer was going on, you better leave now. We just found out that Black Sabbath isn't going to play. And why aren't they going to play? Ozzy's sick. So people could riot. I'm like, well, I've got front row seats and I want to see Slayer and Judas Priest. I'm not leaving. And anyhow, Rob Halford ended up singing for Sabbath that night. So it made it to be very memorable. Then I was in Jones Beach for this tour, and Phil Anselmo was on stage. I can tell the story over and over again. Phil Anselmo was on stage with Superjoint Ritual, and like they would play a song, and then he would talk for like 5 minutes about something like, we're the biggest, baddest motherfuckers on the planet, blah, 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 blah. And finally, after a couple songs, the crowd started chanting. If I don't know if anybody's familiar with ECW wrestling, they did the wrestling chant, "Shut the fuck up." I could not believe I was hearing this through my noise. So anyhow, it wasn't going over well for Super Joint that day. The band members didn't look were just a memorable time from 2004. I had to bring up on the episode. And then Dimmu Borgia came out next, and Dimmu was kind of on top of the world. Then they had come to the States. They're on the Ozfest main stage, and Shagrath comes out, and they open up with the Morning Palace and Spellbound. And he comes out and he says, "We are Dimmu Borgia from Norway. We are here to do the devil's work. And unlike some other bands, we let our music do our talking." So I don't know what backstage was like on this one, where they were cutting a thing at Phil. So who knows? But that was my 2004 concert stuff, and I've got my list of top 5. I will not go first. Myles has been working on something new tonight that'll show you record albums. Do you have that ready for tonight, Myles?
He's on mute.
I think I got it. I think I got it set up.
Now, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
All right, so you go first. He's trying out something new that Rob Lasante and was telling me about from Sea of Tranquility, that you could actually show your albums on the screen without actually having the physical copies. And I forgot my physical copies at work. So
yeah, so 2004 is I think finally back on 2004, because then that is like peak middle school Myles, and like this is around the time where I started, growing up is when my dad introduced me to metal and rock. He introduced me to bands like one of the big ones was Van Halen, Judas Priest, Sabbath, obviously, all those bands. But around 2004 is around the time where I started branching off and finding, bands that, I liked, and then I'd bring them to my dad, and I'd be like, "Dad, listen to this band." He's like, "That band's shit." He's not listening to Van Halen and stuff like that. But some of these bands might, people might call me a poser. I might, be disowned by some people.
They may call me that tonight too. So.
But some of these albums I really look back fondly on, and the first one I'm gonna go with is, let's see if this is gonna work. What is it working?
Drum roll, please.
Oh no.
It worked in the preview.
It worked.
Yeah,
taping.
I don't know what happened here. Hold on.
There's an app called Prezi that he's trying to figure out, that Rob Lasante was doing on Hudson Valley Squares, and actually shows the album. So that's what he was working on tonight. Maybe one of us can figure it out before next week.
Oh no.
Hey,
I'm coming back.
You're coming back. Where'd you go?
I disappeared. I don't know what I did.
Well, I guess you could just tell us about him then, if it's not working.
All right. Can y'all see me?
Yeah, I can see you. I can hear you.
All right. I'm gonna go with a band that I don't really like anymore, and I don't really listen to anymore. But this first album, in my opinion, was great, and that is a band that's probably never even gonna get brought up again, and that's Parkway Drive.
Okay.
Some people, if you know the band Parkway Drive, you probably think metalcore and stuff like that. But their first record, which some people I've seen it called an EP, but their first release was an album called Don't Close Your Eyes. And this thing was like this hardcore meets heavy metal, and it just had this crunch to it. These guys were young at this point, and they, the recording is kind of raw. It's kind of, not all tightly put together, but it's just like these young kids that are just playing this heavy music. And the first time I listened to this record, it's like not what you think Parkway Drive is today. It's like, now they sing with a lot of cleans and stuff like that. No, this is straight up and just like, unclean vocals and everything like that. But the music's not tight at all, but it's just like young kids playing this aggressive music.
It was
And
raw.
was that?
It was raw,
Oh yeah, it
right?
was
Yeah,
really, really raw.
yes, and that's what I think a lot of times we miss with the with when a band first comes out is they're so raw, and then they fine tune their sound, and sometimes that's what and they work to another level, and you like them right then when they first came out,
Yeah,
being that raw.
that was the first. That was probably this. It's my favorite release by the band, and I there I go. Now I can see everybody again. But it was I was trying to figure it out. I'm basically talking blind at some point. But it was their first release, and then after that, it was like they just went downhill for me. Seems like they always picked up and tried to do what was trendy at that time, and then each release that they came out with, and now their recent album. I haven't listened to them in forever, but I listened to that recent album just to see what that sounded like. They're almost unrecognizable from when I loved this first record.
Mhm.
And it was just a great raw record, and so that's the first one I'm going with is Parkway
The
Drive.
only thing that comes to mind when I hear that name Parkway Drive, the only thing that comes to mind is Seth fucking Rollins.
Well, it's a stupid fucking band name. Let's be honest. It's a fucking dumbass band name. It's fucking stupid. But that first record was for 2004 Miles, that was fucking like some heavy fucking shit there, you know. So that's number 5. Do you want me to keep going or?
I want you to do your top 5, then we're going to come around for honorable mention. So
All right.
each person does top 5.
So number 4, I'm going with Malevolent Creations War Cult. A great record in my opinion with Kyle Simmons on vocals. For those that know, he was in Hate Plow, another great band that I love listening to. Just what I like is it's more of a raw sounding, thinner style on that record, but it's still a really killer record. I love the riffs on it, man. It just rips to shreds most of the time. Some songs that I really like off that record is like Murder Reigns, Captured. It was just some great music on that record. Number 3, I'm going with Suffocation, Souls to Deny. That's like their comeback record, I guess you can say. Killer record. The riffs on there slay as well. For them coming back, I don't think they skipped a beat at this point. The music was still raw and killer, and To Weep Once More, Souls to Deny, the title track. Just some great songs on there. Number 2, I'm gonna go Scars of the Crucifix by Deicide. I mean, I don't have to go on about this record. This is one of the most well-known Deicide records. The title track. I think the music video is kind of silly on the side for the title track, with Glenn Benton riding on the bike and stuff like that. But it's still a killer record. What was that song that really, Fuck Your God? I mean, come on now. That's the most Deicide song they probably ever came out with, And it's just a killer record, man. But number 1, and I might be called a poser for this, but in 2004, when I was in middle school, I remember when this album came out, and we were listening to some bullshit at this point. And when this album came out, a guy that we knew, his older brother, was like, "Hey man, y'all listening to this, whatever we was listening to, you listening to Parkway Drive or whatever like that?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, you got to check out this band called Lamb of God. And this album's called Ashes of the Wake, man."
Not a poser for picking that, bro.
And like the first song I heard was Laid to Rest. And I was like, holy fuck. That was the album that I brought to my dad. And I was like, "Dad, you showed me Van Halen and you showed me, Black Sabbath, listen to Lamb of God." And he's like, "What the fuck kind of shit is this?" He's saying fucking the album and stuff like that, but you know, Hourglass on that record,
Oh, yeah.
killer, man. You know, One Gun's my favorite song off that record. And I just have so many fond memories of that record, you know, back in 2004 when it came out. You know, still to this day, I'm friends with people and they all like, and we talk about metal and stuff. And he's like, man, remember when Ashes of the Weight came out? We was all on that, and we was all, and it's just a fond
Oh, yeah.
memory into that record. So that's why I picked Lamb of God, Ashes of the Wake at number one, because it was one of those albums that really, it was one of those records that got me to, you know, explore my own side of metal. So Ashes of the Wake at number one.
And Ashes of the Wake, Lamb of God is going on tour this year with Mastodon, and they're both doing the albums that represented the 20th anniversary. They're doing the Ashes of the Wake and Leviathan, not Leviathan, yeah, doing Leviathan,
Yeah,
Mastodon.
Leviathan.
Yep. So cool. So I don't think you're opposed. I mean, if you pick Papa Roach, maybe you were going to be opposed.
Oh, on my honorable mention, I might be a poser, but
Oh, that's fine. Hey, what were you listening to in 2004 could be different than what you looked or when you look back at it. Me and Steve were hanging out at a club back around this time, and we thought that some bands that were heavy that in the club that were not heavy at all, but we would hang out in this in an adult club, and we would hear a rock song, and it would sound really good after that.
Jane's Addiction was like fucking like death metal. Would you hear
Jane's
it?
Addiction, we'd hear Disturbed, we'd hear all that
Disturbed,
stuff back then.
Oh,
The Lamb of
Girls,
God would have been
Girls.
too. About that.
Lamb of God, Ashes of the Wake. That was like the band, like in when you was younger, like everybody was listening to like I guess Green Day and shit like that. Ashes of the Wake was the album that scared them. They was like they didn't want to listen to that.
Nah,
Still-
bro, that's a great fucking album. I love that album.
It
I
is.
love it, man.
Love that album. I think
Cool.
after that they went way downhill, but that's like fucking really good.
Sacrament's okay.
Sacrament's
The
good.
song Redneck sucks shit, but after that it was oof.
Yeah.
The last album or two of them have come back quite a bit, I'd say. Yeah, they'd go downhill a little bit. I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to wait to the end to give you my picks. I'm going to do it right now. Then I don't have to worry about working on it no more. And I'll pull something. But I've been working on this for the last couple of days. I should have started working on it last week, but I've been this crazy all week. I'm going to pull a Pete Pardo, and I'm going to have a tie for fifth because I could not figure out which one to go with. And this was a good year for me for music. I listen to some stuff that's a little different than some people on the channel. My tie is going to be the fifth studio album from Swedish melodic Viking death metal veterans Amon Amarth. The Fate of Norns was released on June 7th of that year. And the album kicks off with an ancient sign of a coming storm. Other tracks that I dig on this album, of course, are the Pursuit of Vikings, which is still in their playlist when they play out nowadays. The Valkyrie's Ride, the song Arson, like that album a lot. My tie for number 5 was the debut album from the band Winter Sun from Finland. It's
Knew this was coming.
You knew it was coming, right?
Yes, I did.
The songs that stand out are Beyond the Dark Sun, Winter Madness, Battle Against Time. I love the whole album. Looking back, like I was looking at this list and I had to keep. I didn't know what to put on the top 5, so I'm putting both of them in. Next up is the 5th studio album by the Finnish symphonic metal band Nightwish. It's the last album to feature Tarja on vocals. The album starts off. Of course, the album is Once, and the album starts off with a powerful Dark Chest of Wonders and goes right into Wish I Had an Angel, Nemo, Planet Hell. Another strong album from Nightwish, and that's my number 4. Number 3 is the next. It's a second studio album by Mastodon, Leviathan. The first concept album they did is loosely based on the novel 1851 novel Moby Dick. The Blood and Thunder kicks off this gem. Other tracks I like a lot on there that stand out as Sea Beast, Megalodon, Aqua Dementia. Of course, this band's going on tour with Lamb of God, and they're doing this album, I think, in its entirety this year, if I'm not mistaken. Next up, I'm a poser too, I guess, because I'm picking Lamb of God, Ashes of the Wake, Richmond, Virginia. It's their third studio album. I remember going to the record release party for this at Irving Plaza that year with a couple of friends. An old employee was with us. It was Heather. My friend Lizzie was there. We all went to this party. I think God Forbid opened up, but it was, of course, it starts off with Laid to Rest, Hourglass. Now You Got Something to Die For. Whole album's solid, start to finish. My number one album is the 8th studio album by Norwegian metal veterans, Enslaved, Isa. It's released in November of the year. Tracks Into the Green Reflection at the intro, and then Green Reflection, intro into Lunar Force, Secrets of the Flesh, the Into Neogenesis, Bounded by Allegiance, just another masterpiece that one of my favorite bands, Enslaved. So that's my list. I got it done and over with. I don't know. I'm not even talking good tonight, but I got it in. So who are we going to go to next? Well, I see, let's go to Ed Farsley. Is Ed there?
Yep, I'm here.
There he is. All right.
Get my cat out of the
So
way.
my long-winded trying to read my own writing, I got my stuff down. Now I can sit back, relax, and listen to what everybody else has to say tonight.
All right. What's going on, guys? Like I mentioned before, 2004, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, not the best year for metal. But looking back, there was some really, really great records that came out that year. Really good stuff. For me, number 5, actually, on a personal note, in 2004, I was getting separated from my wife. Marriage was ending on a good note. We decided to separate, go our own ways. So for me, it was a time getting 100% back into my metal life. Going to more shows, going to more clubs, meeting up with old friends again. So it was a good time for me. Okay, number 5 album, Saxon, Lionheart. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Saxon's one of the all-time greatest metal bands. They have been for over 45 years, putting out just killer release after killer release. They wavered a little bit, a couple years in the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever. But they came back really strong and have never faltered since. This is just 100% Saxon, great record in every way. Number 4 album, Probot. That, in my opinion, is one of the most important albums in our underground metal history for us old fucks. Dave Grohl did a fantastic job. Apparently, he is a true old school metalhead, because basically on this album, he wrote 10 songs for 10 old school singers and wrote these songs geared towards those old bands. Talking like Kronos from Venom, Max from Sepultura, Snake from Voivod, King Diamond, Tom G. Warrior. So he wrote these songs geared towards Celtic Frost and Venom, and it's got these singers on board, and a lot of these singers hadn't been doing this in a while. Snake was out of Voivod. Tom G. Warrior thought nobody cared about them whatsoever. So this generated a lot of interest in these old bands. Got Snake back into Voivod, got Tom G. Warrior back on stage, and just did a hell of a lot for our music as this underground scene started coming back in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a great album. I think all the songs are good. I could do without the Jack Black song. I think that sucks. It does not belong. I don't know if it's going on the album, just the Spotify version I watched or listened to. But every other song on the album. Number 3.
Tracy, we're picking up a little background from TV or something.
Oh, yes. I'll turn that off.
Oh, just someone remind me, I do have Tony Dio's picks, and I do have Nick Mariano's picks.
Cool.
All right.
Number 3, Motorhead, Inferno. Any year with a Motorhead album is a great year. And this album is pure Motorhead. There you go. Excellent. Great stuff. Great record. What can you say? It's Motorhead. Let me see what song I'm going to mention on here. Ends with the bluesy Whorehouse Blues. Just total blues number. Just a great thing. Not what you typically expect from Motorhead, but from Lemmy, absolutely. What song is In the Name of Tragedy? One of my favorite Motorhead songs. I absolutely love that song. Always have. Forgot it was on this album. Listening to the album again, I was like, oh shit, I love this song. Great stuff. Number 2 album of the year, Hyrax, The New Age of Terror.
Wow.
Hyrax, one of the most underrated, greatest, truest thrash bands of all time. Caden has never changed. He hasn't put out a ton of material, but everything he's put out is really, really kick-ass. And this is another great record. Caden's vocals are one of the best, just geared towards thrash metal. Such aggression, such passion, and he's just fantastic. And this album is just like all the other releases, just pure Hyrax, just killer speed metal, just great stuff. Number 1 album of the year, Jag Panzer. Absolutely. Casting the
wow.
Stone. Love Jag Panzer, always have. I know I've talked about them a few times as well. Got to become friends with them, booked them, just the history with the band, love them to death. From their earliest, from the first album to the last album. Great band. This album is one of their best as well. And it has my all-time favorite Jag Panzer song, The Mission. Written about the movie The Guns of Navarone. First time I heard the song, I was listening to the lyrics. I was like, holy shit, this is about the movie The Guns of Navarone. I love that movie growing up watching with my father. So just a great record and 5 great records there for the year. So I got 5 honorable mentions. We'll get to later.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know what? I've got Tony Dio's picks. I think I'm going to give them to you right now so I don't forget. Tony Dio's choices. Number 1, Exodus, Tempo of the Dam. Number 2 was Ed Guy, Hellfire Club. Number 3 was Metal Church, The Weight of the World. Maybe I missed one from him. And then he's got Saxon Lionheart. Excuse me if I lost one from him. And Christian's picks were Dio, Master of the Moon, The Probot, Exodus, Tempo of the Dam, Saxon Lionheart, and Motorhead Inferno. So it's kind of similar to Ed's in ways. So got those out of the book. Sorry, Tony's at a concert tonight. He says he's at a Poser show. You guys wouldn't. I think it's. I don't know what. I know he was at KK's Priest last night, but tonight I think.
Yeah, he's live streamed. Looks cool.
Seeing Tesla tonight, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
All right, let's go to our center square. Count Ralphus.
All right. So yeah, a couple of ones that have been mentioned. Motorhead Inferno. It's
Yeah.
just like it's the 17th album by them, and they're still kicking ass at this point. They kicked ass their whole career, but for that deep in the game to put out something solid like this, it was really cool. And oh, by the way, that Ozfest that you talked about was definitely the best Ozfest for sure.
Oh yeah, killer
Even if it was-
lineup.
Imagine just a tour of Slayer, Judas Priest, and Sabbath. That alone would be the.
Yeah, really.
I remember that year when we first heard the lineup and like, wow, original Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Slayer. It's like, what a killer. And then, all the other stuff sprinkled through it.
I remember at PNC, Phil was like saying something about, yeah, no matter what band I'm in, they want my ass on this Ozfest because they did it with Pantera earlier.
Sure.
Stupid joint, but no one chanted, shut the fuck up.
He was not as bad. The Jones Beach was the first one I saw that. I think PNC, and then we went to Camden because we would do every year we seem to do at least Camden and PNC. And like where I live, for people who don't know, PNC is like an hour and a half. And then Camden was about 3 hours. That's down in the suburbs of Philadelphia on the Jersey side. And of course, Jones Beach is out on Long Island, but we did all 3 that year. And Phil wasn't bad at the other 2 ones, but that night, and well, maybe after all that, maybe he toned it down a little bit. Who knows? But hey, Phil, we love you. But
them damn people from Louisiana, they some loudmouth motherfuckers.
yeah, they are.
I got an old original poster from that, and every time I see it with all those bands on there, it's just unbelievable. But yeah,
It's
so my
got
next one's
like
gonna be,
it's got like the devil on like a quad, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you had them at the store. I think even
Yeah, I had them. Had the banner too somewhere.
just like these posters. These 2 were from Rock Fantasy.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
Wretched Spawn by Cannibal Corpse and Scars of the Crucifix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Today's the Day. I got next Kiss the Pig. They're a hard band to describe. Super original. The vocalists are hard to get used to, but if you can get used to it, they're a great, unique band. They play a lot of different styles all in one, but some people can't get past the vocals. I think it's great. I love all their shit. Then one that Steve had picked, Mastodon. It was a time where bands that were playing extreme music, but it was like they were trying different stuff, and the death metal scene had been going for a long time. A lot of bands were repeating each other. So it was like a breath of fresh air when bands like Mastodon came out doing something heavy, but it was different. And this was just an incredible album. Scars of the Crucifix. Scars of the Crucifix. I have the cover where it had the upside down cross to block that cover. But another great last lineup of Deicide with the original band, and that's also their 7th album. So it's just a good send off for that original lineup because things definitely changed after that, And then I guess my number one, I didn't really think of like what was the number one, so I'm just gonna go with the record on. Cannibal Corpse keeps coming high on my list every time we do these type of things. If they put out an album that year, it ends up being high on my list. And once again, listening to this again today, I listened to all 10 of the picks I picked today. I listened to in the last 2 days, and it was great going back to all of them. But it was a good year. There's some classic bands putting out stuff, and when you look back, you think that whole area of time is not that many great albums that came out. But no matter what year you pick, I can easily pick 10 out, no matter what year, like 1980 or at least,
Yeah.
Hey, Ralph, do you have that LP of Scars of the Crucifix where the Jesus Christ is like eating his fingers or something like? You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
In 2004, there was no vinyl in the stores. Like stores would have to specialty order it, but most of the vinyl that was produced in America would get shipped overseas.
Yeah.
But people weren't buying it at the time. Rock Fantasy only had old used.
I didn't have anything new. No.
So there's a big gap where there's nobody buying albums. I worked at a Caroline Records distribution, and I had a chance to buy tons of albums at wholesale prices. So I did buy a lot of stuff in the 90s that most people weren't getting because it was stuff that was going to get shipped to Europe, and we would have a chance to buy it at wholesale. At the time,
what years were they, Ralph, when you worked for Caroline?
Like 96, but they went to like 98 or 99 in that location before they moved to Tennessee. But they were in Goshen, New York, and
definitely vinyl was dead in those years for sure. Yeah,
we were getting stuff like everything was coming out was still getting made on vinyl, but it just wasn't going to American stores unless they were a specialty vinyl store. And then some stores there would be regular CD stores, but there'd be 3 vinyl in a box in a shipment that would be going out. If somebody specially ordered those 3 vinyls, but it's just the way it was. So now everything's been repressed and everything, and you can buy all these represses, but the represses are more expensive than the CDs. I already have the CDs. So when I collect vinyl, I try to find the old shit that I missed back in the day, but I'm not into too much finding the new ones like that. But sometimes they're really cool because they're packaged amazing. And you gotta get them. But
I just like how the LP of Scars of the Crucifix has that Christ like eating his fingers is fucking cool as fuck.
Cool. Thinking about that year, I don't know if it was that actual year, but maybe Steve Levin, I remember. He was probably working for me now. You remember when like Juan worked at the Chance?
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then remember when he called us and said, "Hey, I got Mastodon playing." They played up in Club Crap. They played upstairs in the loft, and I remember going to that. And I might have been, I don't know if it was this album or the album before, but it was just when they started to break, because I know they were playing at the Roseland the next night. My memory deceives me on who they were playing with.
It was this album. It was this album.
It was.
It was this album, yeah.
It was before it got big though.
Yeah.
Still like it was like this album really exploded them because it was like I think it was like 6 months later they were on that Slayer tour.
I only think it was 6 months later. I think it was literally the next night we were seeing Slayer and Mastodon in New York City.
No, it was the next tour.
It was a little later. All right.
Yeah, it was the next tour, I believe. It's right around that same time, I think. Because I remember seeing them, and then all of a sudden they were huge. But I seen them on their first tour. They played at Asbury Park.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure they played one of them, and yeah, they just came out then. We still watched them. They were great back then.
I got to see him last year, of course, with Gojira. It was the same day as Steve's party. That's why I didn't make it over there that time.
Yeah. That very first tour that they did that I remember I saw was the High on Fire, which was a crazy tour.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that was just for the EP at the time. I don't think they even had the full length out.
They might have been both on the same label because their High Fire was a Relapse too, right?
Yeah, they were both
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
And you know, like Ralph was saying, I was listening to a lot of like Burnt by the Sun and Pig Destroyer and total props for Today's the Day. I didn't even realize that album came out then. I see you're wearing the shirt too, which is amazing because that's another one of those bands that you just kind of forget about, you know.
Hey, Steve, since you're chatting, I might as well let you go next, and then we'll go over to Frank. We'll go over to Nick, Tracy, and Obie, and then we'll wrap around some honorable mentions if I can remember that earlier. That's how brain dead I am today.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. So this was a fun episode, I think, because you really had to do a little research here to, you know, find out which albums came out in 2004. It's pretty easy to forget, and in some ways it wasn't a super memorable year, but I mean, if you look through the cracks, there's always great albums. So the funny thing is I see that there's a couple repeat albums, but there's a lot of different choices here, which is really cool to hear everybody's, you know, what everybody picked. So for me, I didn't really put them in any order, but if I was going to, my number 5 would be Kronos, which is spelled with a K, Kronos, Colossal Metal Strife. They're a French band. And a lot of times French metal is a little bit off the cuff. It's a little bit weird. Sometimes it has like weird progressions and atmosphere, and the timing's a little bit off. And I really dig this band. They're super duper heavy. They're pretty relentless. I'd say it's definitely along the lines of somebody like Kristian, but they have some more melodic, like European riffs that go along with them. So if you like relentless stuff and like maybe Latter Day Death, they throw in some parts like that, like some tech parts. So they're pretty cool. My fave songs on the album are Aplomac, which I'm sure I'm not pronouncing right, but that's what it looks like. The title track, Colossal Titan Strife, and with Eek Sword. So yeah, their titles are real out there. I have no idea what they mean, but super cool band. Check them out if you're not familiar. My number 4 choice was Incantation, Decimate Christendom. I mean, what are you gonna say? You know, our boy Johnny Mac, he really never fails. Every album they put out is solid right from the beginning, from, you know, song number 1 to the end song. It's totally listenable. You're not skipping tracks. You want to hear everything. It just becomes more familiar. That was their 6th studio album. It's exactly what you would expect from them. It's not my fave by a long shot, but it's super duper solid, just like all the Incantation are. My fave songs on that are the title track, Dying Divinity, No Paradise Awaits, and Thrones of Everlasting Persecution. Just great fucking tune. You know, I don't have to say anything about Incantation. We all know what they do. My number 3 choice was kind of EP, but they added some extra songs. Kristian Bloodshed, 7 new songs. My God, it was fucking good. And I remember listening to this like crazy. They actually did a tour that came through right about that time, and they opened up with one of the songs from that, Ominous. And I fucking love this band. We're friends with the brothers. Happy belated birthday, Alex. His birthday was either yesterday or the day before, so happy belated birthday to you, Alex. We love everything you guys put out. Another band that from start to finish, they never fucking fail. You're always happy to hear every tune. My favorite songs on this are Plain Fate, Ominous, Servant of Emptiness, just great stuff. And then add the Unmerciful Order EP at the end, which was one of their early releases, a little bit less refined and just more like crazy, brutal shit, super raw. What am I up to? Number 3. No, number 2. My number 2 choice is Converge, You Fail Me. I'm sure nobody else is going to mention this band, which is kind of cool. I love that. Once again, this was a band from that time period when we were listening to different stuff. And I saw Converge play at the Loft for this tour, and it was actually right before You Fail Me came out. And I can still remember them playing the title track, You Fail Me. And it was just, when you go to a lot of shows, there's certain memories you have of shows, you know, oh, this song was so great this night, or this tune was my favorite, or this happened in the pit. But I can still remember them playing You Fail Me, and it just being one of the heaviest fucking things I ever heard. It was just so crushing, and it's a great song. Definitely not everybody's cup of tea, but Converge is one of my favorite bands. They never disappoint me. They're a little bit out there. Most of the stuff they do is super chaotic. It's peppered with a little bit of melody and whatnot, but I just love the band. Kurt Ballew's fantastic producer, amazing guitarist. And my favorite songs for that would be Black Cloud, Drop Out, the title track, You Fail Me, and Eagles Become Vultures, another just one of those nutty fucking songs. And my number one pick is something that I didn't think anybody else would pick, but it's the Mighty Impiety, Paramount Evil.
Wow.
It's their full length, fucking ridiculous war metal from Singapore, of all places. I fucking love this band. Shiathan has been going since 1996. And believe it or not, back in like 96, Andy at your store,
Yeah,
from Typus, turned me on to this band, showed me the first CD, and I bought it, and they've stuck with me through all this time. And I actually have the pleasure of saying that I turned Ryan Scow, the elitist, onto this band, which is cool because there's not many bands that. And then he returned the favor by taking me to see them live in New York City. It was one of those Vinny Bonaccio shows, and Vinny just put on these great underground shows. It was Shiathan's birthday, so we actually sang happy birthday to him, and somebody gave him a cake, which was fucking pretty nutty. And what was really cool is Ryan, dude, when the show's over, he's ready to go home. He usually has to work early, whatever.
yeah.
I stay and talk to the band and get a picture. So Shiathan had to go wash all the blood off of him because they're another one of the bands that used live blood on stage. And I told Scow, I'm like, dude, we got to stay and get a picture. So he stayed, and if it weren't for me, he wouldn't have a picture with Shiathan. So I think he would say that it was well worth it. If you don't know this band and you like shit like Destroyer 666 and just like crazy, crazy war metal, please check them out. They're super underrated. I mean, they're from Singapore, so obviously it's not something you hear about a lot. But like I said, they've been going since 96, getting close to their 30th birthday. And my favorite songs from this album are Sunrise Defloration, Carbonized, The Mighty Impiety, and fuck, dude, just every song. It's just relentless fucking crushing metal, and gets my high suggested perfect 10 out of 10. If you like this kind of shit, check them out.
I remember seeing Impiety with Scow around that same time period, but it wasn't, I don't know where it was. It was like Jersey and like a VFW or some weird place.
They played with Mortician once, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that's something like that, or Funerus or somebody. Yeah, yeah.
Mortician played.
I think Sammy was there that night.
Yeah, I think
Huh.
they played.
All right. Cool, Steve. Nice picks.
Awesome.
Frank Tosi from Another Demon, who kicked our ass at Quinspins a few weeks ago. I don't know if I've talked to you since then. That was a killer night. We were celebrating Count Ralphus's and Frank that works for me's birthday, and we had the kids from Philly kicked ass too, Skelovich, and it was you guys and the Witches Dance, Merciful Fate Tribute, and the Mighty Jotunheim from New York City. What a memorable night that was, Frank.
Fun night. It was a great show. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry I haven't been back on. My grandmother's birthday and a couple other things happened, so
Yeah.
glad to be back this week. I just want to say I was at that Ozfest in Long Island on 2004. I find it funny you didn't mention the lightning bolt that struck behind Judas Priest when they started their set.
That's right. There was I don't remember that part, but now I do. You mentioned it. Yeah, there was a like a thunderstorm going on.
Yeah, and then that lightning bolt hit, and they were playing the Hellion going into Electric Eye.
Shit! Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, though.
Yeah, that was a great show, and I forgot about the Shut the Fuck Up with Phil Anselmo, which probably one of the highlights of that show.
It was still daylight when that was on, and it wasn't like a full upstairs yet, because I think people were starting to come with Black Label was on first. And then you had people out in the parking lot watching Slipknot. So it was a slow migration into the main part of the amphitheater.
Yeah, I was in there already. I had taken my uncle that day. So
yeah.
Nice time. So 2004 for me, I have some good picks and some that have already been mentioned. So I'm not going to go too far into the depth of them. My number 5 would be Demigod.
Nice.
I love Behemoth. This is not my favorite album by them, but there's not one thing I don't like about Behemoth, especially how they've morphed into what they are now. It's nice to hear that much variety of sound in a band that evil.
Yeah.
So my number 4 pick is Fate of Norns. Love this album. This is their breakout album, in my opinion, at least. Pursuit of Vikings, of course, everybody knows, but you mentioned the song Arson before, and that is my song on the album. So once from Nightwish, I used to be in a female fronted symphonic metal band back in the day. And we
Okay.
used to cover Wish I Had an Angel. That's a great album. That's a fun song to play too. You know, it's a lot heavier than you realize when you're playing it. I'm gonna go with my number 2 as the Masters, Exodus's Tempo of the Dam.
Yeah.
That's start to finish, what a great album that is. And to flip it, probably nobody else is going to mention this one. My number 1, and still to this day I listen to this album quite often, is The Glorious Burden by Iced Earth.
I'm
That
glad
album-
you mentioned that because I kind of overlooked that, and I think that's one of Iced Earth a better
Yes.
album. I mean, other
Yes,
than
it
the very
is.
early stuff with
It's not the devil's got to pay.
with Ripper. Ripper was
Yeah,
on
with
that album.
Ripper. I mean,
Yeah.
the Reckoning on
That's
that
a good
album,
song.
Hollow Man, Green Face. I mean, I'm just naming them off the cuff here. Red Baron, Blue Max. I mean, Ripper singing on that album was definitely like a like, oh my God, is this going to be bad or is this going to be good? And it was just like Judas Priest on steroids and John Schaefer's right hand on that album on point. You know, and I mean, to me, that's one of their best works, and I still listen to that today. I can't drive in the car listening to that and not go 85. You know. So those are my 5 right there.
On Behemoth, I kind of feel that was their breakout, especially in the States. The Demigod album. It's what brought them to and I was at that tour in New York City, and they were on the Danzig Blackest of the Black tour, and I think it was around, I'm pretty sure they were supporting that album, and I got to visit with them a little bit. And we were going a couple days later to Atlantic City. The tour was going to play at the House of Blues at the Showboat, which is now not a casino. I don't even know if the House of Blues theater or anything still exists, but they were asking me what Atlantic City was like, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it's right for a metal show like this. And we got down there and we went to the Atlantic City show. It's very lightly attended compared to they were at the Palladium, which was Nokia back then in New York City. I went with my friend Johnny Mopp, and I still remember him leaving and getting lost in New York City because he didn't wait for me to leave. That was my other story from that night. But and then I saw them there, and they were like, I said, "What's New York City like?" It's like all old people, pretty much, in those casinos. And we were there on a weeknight, and I remember running into one of the other bands we ran into at the Tropicana. They were staying at the hotel that night where we were staying. But anyhow, Behemoth were saying, "Yeah, you're right. This town's very strange," because that was when they were first trying to bring like metal and stuff into Atlantic City in the early 2000s. I know that it happens again still, because I know Danzig and Behemoth were there early last fall. I know that tour went through there again. So Danzig goes back, but it wasn't highly attended when I was there, and they were kind of laughing about it. That was my Behemoth story from Demigod, and that was one notch from being in the top 5 from tonight, but I think that's a solid album by them. Sorry, I hopped into and took over the conversation again, but some good stories from back then when I was a younger man and went to a million shows. Now Tracy has to go to all the shows. Tracy goes to all the shows, and
All the shows.
I live vicariously through Tracy and that Ray, and they go to everything.
Yes, it's tough getting around and trying to get. I mean, of course, like 4 shows hit in one night, and we're like in debate where we're gonna go.
I know. It's crazy. That's and we're heading into that time of year right now. So hey, Kristian, good to see you. Guess what? I gave your picks already.
Oh man, I thought that might have been the case.
But you can hang out.
Cool.
I'll let you go. Anyhow, so I'm going to go to Nick Zinn next. First time ever on the channel. It's an honor to have you on. He's the drummer from the band Spellbook from York, PA. Please check those guys out if you're watching seeing this tonight. Check them out.
I got to get him on the station.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, cheers, everyone. Thanks for having me on. Big fan of the show. Been watching you guys for a long time, and it's just crazy how we're up there playing the Quinn's Pins and checking your store out. That was like something I wanted to do this summer. Was like we're gonna trek up to go to Rock Fantasy. It was like I was all pumped up for it.
I was taken back by it because I'm like, wait a minute, you guys know me already? Like,
Oh, yeah.
We watched Sea of Tranquility. We watched. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, you guys, and they had such a cool crew of people with them when they came up too.
Yeah, so yeah, like I mentioned to Steven at the shop, like when COVID came, like TV sucked, movies weren't being made, and I just started watching YouTube, and that's how I stumbled upon Sea of Tranquility, Steven here, Rock Fantasy, and yeah, so I've been checking you guys out for a while, and you guys very knowledgeable, and between all of you, like having everything, it just blows my mind. So cheers to all of you guys.
Well, and we're always looking for cool new people to hang out with on this little Zoom chat on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad you joined us.
All right. So 2004, a little weird year for me. When I was thinking of this stuff, everything that I was researching, 2003, 2005. And I was like, what the hell? And, like, of course, like when something comes out in 2003, you associate with 2004 because of the tour or whatever it was. But so I had to do some research on this. Big vinyl guy. But 2004 was when I started buying records. Up until that, all CDs. 2004, I was 20. So all CDs. So I went down to the basement, was digging through all my CDs, looking at the back of CDs, like, holy shit. So my first pick, I could not find it.
That's fine.
But it's going to be Megadeth. The System Has Failed.
Okay.
And I remember, what's the one that came out right before that?
Not a very good one.
Yes.
Well, needs a hero.
That's what Motorcycle was on it. The one before. That was like the big thing.
Yeah, Obie's a Megadeth expert, so he should have that answer.
World Needs a Hero, I think, 2001.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But I remember I liked that song when it came out. It sounded old school to me. Album-wise, it was disappointing. When this came out, a friend of mine was like, dude, listen to some of these riffs. Like maybe not like complete songs are going to blow your mind, but, there's some kick-ass riffs. Like they're actually writing cool metal riffs again. So you had, what was on that? You had Blackmail the Universe. That's what it starts off with. And just from that, it's just like, whoa, like, Megadeth kicking ass again. Kicked a chair.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for Megadeth at that time period, I felt like I was a good return. It wasn't a complete album. There's still some wishy-washy songs, but still some bangers on there, I feel. And got me interested in them again. Number 4 has been mentioned. Motorhead Inferno. This blew me away. Hammered came out before this, and I remember digging the hell out of like the more rock and roll stuff. There's piano and a couple things, and I was like, to me, that's my Motorhead. I want Motorhead greasy. I want them fast and loose. Everything they've done is kicked ass, but like when they get a little bit more, like when they go just straight ahead metal, it doesn't have the same charm for me. So like whenever they're a little bit more loose and greasy, that's how I like it. I felt like Inferno was a little bit best of both worlds with that. So that's my number 4. Now here we go. So you're talking about worried about being a poser. I got 2 picks. So at this time period, I knew nothing about modern metal coming out. Nothing. I had spent years going back, like 9 years old. My brother got me Black Sabbath Paranoid on cassette, changed my life. And it was just constant going back. I had older friends, and I'm getting their CD collection, their tape collection. It's just constantly going back for me. I'm ignoring what's coming out at the time. But having said that, after I went through a metal phase where I was, the fastest thing, the heaviest thing, went through that. I went back to like just being obsessed with Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. And I was like, man, there isn't really like many like just rock bands. Like it's either your metal, hardcore at the time, but just like straight up rock. It was a little bit weird. And then this band came out, and I heard it from a quote from Lars Ulrich. He said something like, "This song, like it just screams new wave of British heavy metal for me." Now, after hearing it, I wouldn't agree, but I'm glad that I read the quote and I checked these guys out. I'm talking about the Datsuns. Album is Out of Sight, Out of Mind. The first one really blew me away. The self-titled, and it came with the self-titled came with this DVD. Their big song was "MF from Hell," "Motherfucker from Hell." That was a song that he was referring to in the interview. And once I got the CD, I listened to it, and then when I watched this, and I was like, "Wow, that's what a fucking kick-ass rock and roll band looks like live." Like Helicopters vibe, like that kind of thing. Like, so when this came out, it intrigued me because it was produced by John Paul Jones.
Wow.
And I remember going into the whatever it was, the Wall or Camelot, whatever it was back then, and just I picked it up, saw it right away, turned around, like, holy shit, they got John Paul Jones. Like they went from nobodies. Lars Ulrich mentioned them. And they're getting, you're starting to hear MF from Hell everywhere, and then John Paul Jones is producing an album. So pretty crazy. Obviously, I was that into them where I was picking up overseas singles on CD, like that were more than the album. So yeah, I was really into them. I saw these guys on that tour at the Auto Bar in Baltimore. So go down there with a group of friends. Can't wait to see them. I knew nothing about the opening band. Blew my mind. Like literally, it was a like changed my life moment. Here I am to see this band that I'm newly into, the Datsuns, and this band comes on, Bad Wizard.
Okay.
And I believe they're up for your neck of the woods, somewhere in New York area.
Huh.
Album's called Number One Tonight. I can't say enough about this. Just kick-ass rock and roll. This really opened my eyes. Obviously, I'm a drummer. My teenage years, it was always playing and varying my, what my interest is just to be in a band. I'm sure everyone does that. So, like, I joined a punk band. I wasn't even into punk. These guys are literally showing me all this punk stuff. Got me into it, crazy into it. But all these years went by, and I'm playing different kinds of music that isn't like, what I truly want to do. And when I saw these guys, it blew my mind. And I was like, I want to be in a fucking rock and roll band. You know what I mean? Like, love Sabbath. It can have the doom elements to it, but I just want the rock and roll flavor to be in there. Sabbath, like some of my favorite stuff is the more, everyone wants to go the heaviest stuff all the time, and it's great. Volume 4, Master Reality, but like the stuff, the deep tracks on Sabbath and Technical Ecstasy, like I love that shit just as much. So that was my number 2, and then this one here really, I did not know this when it came out. I knew about this band in 2006 when the second album came out. So I did not know about this in 2004. But when the second album came out and I started finding out about these guys, went and got their first album, Witchcraft.
Oh,
Nice.
Sweden.
That's a great album. I overlooked that completely.
This started an absolute obsession for me. It just seemed like anything out of Sweden kicks ass. Like up until that point, I didn't realize it. But it's like you pick the genre of music. If it's from Sweden, it's gonna be great. And well, then I'd say after the third album, The Alchemist, it was just like bands just started coming out of the woodwork everywhere. and that genre and that style was blowing up. But when I heard this, and I already have, I'm already seeing Bad Wizard, like I want to play rock and roll. I'm tired of fucking joining other bands that aren't doing exactly what I want to do. And then when I heard this, I'm like, this straight up sounds like from the late 60s, like the recording, everything. Like, this is what I want to do. So they're my 5 picks.
Cool. Interesting. I totally overlooked that Witchcraft. I have that Witchcraft album. I can actually see it on the floor over here.
Yeah. They did a Rise Above did a repress a couple years ago. I don't know if they still have any more, but
yeah.
Rise Above rules. That's such a label.
You mentioned the name of the Dodsons. I remember getting that in the store, and they were on an Ozfest.
What? No way.
Pretty sure of it. Someone can fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure they're on a Ozfest poster. I think it might have been 2001.
Wow, that blows my mind.
I could be completely wrong and senile on this one, but
they were blowing up there for a little bit.
I think they were, and we were like, "What's this? Like this is like an import car in the early '70s." The Dodsons. All right, Tracy.
Hello.
Welcome back to the show. It's good to have you on. Last time you were on, I wasn't on, and one of my weeks off, but good to see you.
Oh, good to be here. Good to be here. Yeah, during this era, I was in a death hole. Like, I went into the rabbit hole with death metal. So I was living, breathing death metal at this point in time.
Oh,
go ahead.
You got my attention.
I got your attention. Yes. And actually it was its own rabbit hole because we started out, okay, well, I should give you my 5.
Yeah.
I would have to say, believe it or not, Necrophagist. Their epitaph is friggin' phenomenal. And I got led into that from the other previous. But that album just expanded technical death metal, and being a guitar connoisseur, it smacked me in the face. And and it's classic today. Classic. My next would have to be Bloodbath. They released Nightmares of Flesh. So Eaton and Cancer of the Souls, I play them today. They're just amazing. And then I've got my boys, Internal Bleeding, did Onward to Mecca.
Wow.
That was an amazing album also. And I would have to go with Malevolent Creation, War Cult after that. And well, there's so many because I didn't get to organize this. Wretched Spawn is definitely in there, but I have to end with Scars of the Crucifix because it was the last album with the Hoffman brothers.
Yeah.
And that happened at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year was that split, and like we're sitting on the edge of our seats and trying to figure out where Glenn's going to go with this, especially mid-tour. You know what I'm saying? And just so glad he pulled Ralph and Jack. I mean, I like my whole, I did like a brow wipe when I knew they had Ralph Santalo, and he's just the greatest guy. But I also, are we doing honorable mentions later?
No, we're gonna loop around for those.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We'll do a quick loop around.
But also, this led me into again the Behemoth thing, and Rotting Christ had a great album too that year. Yeah. But I've got more.
Cool. Yes. All righty. So we are running a little bit long, but we're gonna wrap around and we can do honorables briefly. But we still got to go to Obie because I made him go last tonight. We've been going first last couple of weeks.
Great. I've been first now for a month, so it's pretty good to be last.
It was good to go last for a change. And then we got Kristian, who can briefly give us, even though I mentioned what he likes, he can give us a brief rundown, and then we'll blast through the honorable mentions and wrap this one up.
So early 2000s was a bad time for Norwegian or black metal in general over here with Dimmu Borgir and all that stuff, that commercial crap. Sorry, if not sorry like some, but so I had to seek elsewhere to find real black metal, and I had to go to New Jersey to I guess it's kind of a super group in a way, because you got Judas Iscariot and other guys in a band called Krieg, like in war in German. And they gave out an album called Black House. And it's a really raw album, and Judas Iscariot is playing guitar and viola. It's kind of interesting because it's black metal, but at the same time you have a little like other genres too. It's kind of a unique album. So I really like that. So that saved me when my black metal people kind of.
You'll have to send that to me, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And songs I really like is Thy Wing, Thy Horn, Thy Sin, and Serve in Heaven, and Shades of Evil are my favorite songs from that album. Number 4, like Tracy said, I'm going to Greece for Rotting Christ.
Nice.
Yeah.
We haven't planned this. An interesting thing about that album, on the first song, Gus G, that plays for Aussies, plays guitar solo on that album.
From Fireweather. Yep.
Yeah, so you wouldn't figure him to play in a band like that. So that's kind of interesting. Really good album, kind of, I would almost say like religious in a way, because there's very much chants and very much like,
Yep.
it's almost like you're in a black mass of sorts.
Yep.
Songs I really like from that album. Holy shit, haven't I written it down? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
What in the Sam Hill?
Get your glasses.
Right. I guess I have to just go to the next one.
All right.
And the next one is the English band My Dying Bride, with Songs of Darkness, Words of Light. And it's kind of a good album because you had growling vocals, and instead of just clean vocals they have been doing for a while since the River album in '95. So it was good that they are kind of getting back in style.
Yep.
So songs I like there is Catherine Blake, A Doomed Lover, and As My Fury Stands Ready. As for number 2, we are going to Belgium for some good black metal for Enthroned. But I can't even, it's kind of Latin. So I can't, you guys gotta check it out. But it's a lot. If you see a Latin title, it's the one. And it was given out on Napalm Records. And songs I really like from there is Helgium Messiah, Vortex of Confusion, and Dance of a Thousand Knives. It's a really good album. It's really raw. So like I said, I had to go elsewhere to get proper black metal those days. And then for number 1, I'm going to do a tongue twister here, really, because it's a religious one. It's Godflesh had broken up. I listened to Godflesh industrial metal for a long while, and Justin had a mental breakdown and just broke up Godflesh and found religion, and he started a new project called Jesus. And it was the same drones, shoegaze, kind of very much emotion, very kind of things I really like. So it's kind of you got to have, like, if you listen to a lot of fast music, you got to have some slow music too to kind of compensate so you don't get tired of one speed. Songs I really like there are Friends Are Evil, Sun, not Sunday, but Sunday, and Walk on Water. You hear it's religious titles, so that's it for me.
Cool.
That sounds terrible.
Godflesh did that.
Imagine Godflesh just with
Hey, Kristian, sorry I
Hey.
gave you a picture already, but could you blast through them real quick for me?
Sure, yeah,
Since
I'll
you're
go
here in
through them
person.
again. Sorry that I'm a little bit late. I really it's been a few weeks since I've been on, so I really wanted to try to make it on again tonight.
Right.
I didn't really have any honorable mentions. So I'll just
All right.
go through quickly the picks that you already
Well, yeah,
already
go
talked
ahead.
about. So the first one I put at number 5, I put Dio, Master of the Moon. Honestly, I'm not like it's a cool album cover and it's a cool album title, so that's mostly why I picked it. With the title like Master of the Moon, I'm kind of like expecting like a Stargazer type epic, but you don't quite, it's not quite up to par, I think, with most of the other stuff that in the Dio catalog. But I do like the track Shivers. I like the opening one, One for the Road, and Man Who Would Be King. Um, I figured I had to mention it too because it is the last Dio album that ever came out. Sadly, I mean, even though he did
Mhm.
The Devil You Know, which I think is much better than this, I thought it would still be worth mentioning. My number 4 pick was Probot. This one I think is a pretty fun listen. Again, you got Dave Grohl, an alternative rock guy who's paying homage to all these heavy metal guys.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the record itself, it just, it sounds like a teenage kid who just got like, a bunch of his like favorite rock stars to come on and, sing songs, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, I like the opening track on there with Kronos from Venom, Centuries of Sin. I like the one that he does with Lemmy, Shake Your Blood, and Ice Cold Man is another really good one from that. My number 3 pick was Tempo of the Damned from Exodus. This was a comeback album from them, and I gotta say, and hey, Rob, thanks for having the the props there for me. But yeah, it's just a fierce comeback record. I love Blacklist, um, Scar Spangled Banner, the title track on that, and also Impaler, which I guess is actually an older Exodus song that they didn't record because part of it was Kirk Hammett stole from Metallica.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool that they put it on here. So my number 2 pick, Saxon, Lionheart. I think this is a great Saxon record. They really, I think at that period, like in the 2000s, they were really starting to kind of put out some really good records again. I mean, the newest one is also pretty phenomenal too. I've
Yeah,
been
it
listening
is.
to that a lot. But yeah, so Lionheart, that one, the opening track, Witchfinder General, awesome. Title track is good. English Man of War and To Live by the Sword is another really freaking killer song off of that one. And as everyone has already heard, no surprise, number 1, Motorhead Inferno. I think this one is just like it was the first one that was produced by Cameron Webb, who'd go on to produce all the other records up until the very end. I think this one is probably their best like post 2000 album, in my opinion. Um, I would put it, I don't know if I would say it's like a top 5 Motorhead for me, but definitely a top 10. There's so many killer songs on this. Terminal Show, which has a killer solo from Steve Vai on it. Killers, In the Name of Tragedy, another really good one. Keys to the Kingdom, Smiling Like a Killer. I mean, really, the whole album's great, and even the last track, that kind of the Whorehouse Blues, that just it's sometimes I liked it when a band does like a little left turn like that, but they do it well, and it's still it feels like even though it's like this little acoustic jam, it's like it's totally Motorhead, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so those are my picks, which you already knew, but thanks for giving me the
I'm
time
glad
to
that you
talk about
showed
them a
up
little
to.
bit.
Oh, it was better to have you on instead of me just rambling off your picks. Like Tony Dio couldn't make it tonight either, but I gave his picks also.
I
So
can do Dennis Barth's picks.
who?
Dennis.
Oh, you have Danny's picks.
Yeah. Number 5 is Monster Magnet with Monolithic Baby. Number 4 is Fu Manchu with Start the Machine. Number 3 is Exodus, Temple of the Damned, not Temple of the Damned, I guess. And number 2 is Alabama Thunder Pussy with Bolton Hill. And number 1 is Drive-By Truckers, The Dirty South.
Wow. Cool. All righty. So we're gonna go into our honorable mentions. Maybe we can keep them a little brief just so we can get this episode under 2 hours, but we're a little bit over
If
an
you
hour
don't
now.
mind, I only have one and I want to go eat dinner. If you
All
don't
right, you go first, Frank.
started.
Do it, Frank.
Started.
Frank. Do it, Frank.
Yeah, my honorable mention is the EP of Dead Eyes See No Future by Arch Enemy, which came out after.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm mentioning it is because their cover of Symphony of Destruction on that, if you haven't heard it, you really should. It's good.
It's awesome.
Angela kicks ass on that song, and
Hell yeah. I love Angela.
So do I.
yeah, and so my wife doesn't get mad at me.
All right,
But,
Frank. Well, it's great having you on, and I'll hit you up for next time.
All right, guys, have a good night.
All right,
See you
so we're gonna
Hey,
go to
Frank.
Myles. Myles, give us a couple honorables.
So pretty much all my honorables have been mentioned, like Temple of the Dam, Wretched Spawn was one of them. Behemoth was one of them. There's actually 3 that hasn't been mentioned. One of them is Sardonic Wrath by Dark Throne. I think it's an okay record. It's not their best, but it's an all right record. Next one is Mayhem's Chimera or Chimera, however you say it. It's my favorite. It's actually my favorite Mayhem record with Maniac on vocals. Yeah, I love that record, and I'm not a big fan of Maniac on vocals with Mayhem. But I think that's probably his best record with him. And the last one I have is probably gonna get me kicked off this show. It's
66.
probably nobody's ever gonna talk to me ever again. But I gotta admit, 2004, when I was in middle school, this was like the album when it came out, and it was like big when it came out, and I did like it, and I still listen to it now, and it's Kill Switch Engage in the Heartache.
Hey, it was a big record back then. We all heard it.
It was a big record back in the day.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
a lot of my friends, that don't really listen to heavier music, they still listen to that record a lot, and it was a big record back when I was younger. And if I'm lying if I'm dying if I say I didn't jam that record. So yeah,
Well, we're not kicking you off of here. We're all got different tastes. So.
but I'll still listen to it. I was listening to it today, and it just brought back a bunch of memories from back in the day. So
If you put Liquid Metal on that album's in heavy rotation on Liquid Metal.
It's kind of overplayed, but
yeah.
The coolest thing is I remember when just brief. I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil games. And when the movies were coming out, I was like so big into the movies, even though I think like majority of them suck. But the second one, my favorite, Apocalypse, came out. And I remember watching it, and at the end of it, the Inner Heartache song came on by Kill Switch Engage, and I thought it was just cool. So yeah.
Hey, I used to go see Kill Switch Engage back then, so I'm a poser too, Patty.
Hey,
saw him quite a few times. Saw him in New York City, headline, saw him on Ozfest. I think they were on like 5 Ozfest back then.
If it was the first record with Jesse Leach on vocals, I would defend that till I die.
Oh yeah, I saw him with Jesse. I had a girl named Heather that worked for me that was obsessed with them, so we'd go to see him with Heather quite a bit back then. I guess I can give you are you done, Myles? All right. So I got a couple things that weren't mentioned, a few that were, of course, the Cannibal Corpse, the Suffocation. No one mentioned Fintroll, Natfod. Really,
I knew that was coming.
I really love that album, and got to see Fintroll. Even Linda and my wife, got to meet Fintroll a couple times in New York City at the Gramercy. Marduk with Plague Angel, Danzig, Circle of Snakes, Sonata Arctica, A Reckoning Night from back then. Fear Factory, Archetype too was another one that came out in 2004. And of course, I did have Behemoth down as a memorable honorable mention.
Your Sephirem came out with one that year too.
Did they? I don't know that. What did Sephirem? What in Sephirem came out that year?
I don't know. It was just happened to be on the list when I was scoping stuff out, and I was like, "Oh, Steven's gonna say that one."
Well, I picked the other. I picked Winter Sun instead, but I'm going to Google that now.
Yeah.
So. But Ed, you can go ahead while I'm Googling that. I think.
All right. For some honorable mentions, this one's been mentioned by a few people. Nightwish once. Honestly, I'm not a fan of the band. Never really was. Not really now, but I love this album. Loved it when it first came out. Still listen to it today. It's a good record. Number 9, Napalm Death. Leaders and Followers Part 2. Napalm Death, one of the greatest grindcore bands of all time, mixing grind and death metal. And this is just a great, straight up, great Napalm Death record. Number 8, Vader, the Beast. Surprised nobody else
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Just
Good choice.
absolutely
That one.
devastating.
Damn.
Vader, one of the best
Wow.
death metal bands ever. I mean, I've known Peter since he sent me the demo back in my fanzine days.
Yeah.
Really
wow.
cool guy.
Yeah.
I got to book them twice, including a sold out night at Webster Hall. Killer band. This is a great fucking record. Probably the most brutal record of the year, in my opinion. Number 7, Exodus, Temple of the Damned. Everybody mentioned it. I think this is the best Exodus record they've put out in a while. It's more of a mid-paced thrash, not like the total speed that they usually do. But it's a straight up record. It sounds good. Zetro's vocals sound really killer. And they finally re-recorded Impaler. Fucking love that song from the old live shows and the demo. My number 6, Ministry, Houses of the Mole. I love Ministry.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Lands of Rape and Honey, The Mind's a Terrible Thing to Waste, 2 of the greatest albums ever. I got to see them live at the Ritz back in those days. One of the most amazing shows. This is when they filmed the video at, with a 15-foot wall in the front of the fence, rather, in the front of the stage. People climbing up the fence during the show. It was absolutely insane. This album is one of the best Ministry albums they had recorded in a while also. A return to that late 80s, early 90s feel. Just a great record. And one of the honorable mentions, I didn't even realize, I overlooked it when I was doing my research, but Malevolent Creation, War Cult. Another great record.
Yes, it
love the
was.
band.
Yeah. True.
So yeah, this was a great.
Yeah, all 14 tracks. Yeah, it was amazing.
I think it's a good episode. Of course, we're run out of years we can do, but I love doing these years. I loved it when Pete Pardo was doing it on his channel too. Just go pick a year, pick your favorites from it, you know.
Yep.
And Tracy, I got to confer with you when I start doing my homework, and I should have started this last week because yeah, Ensiferum Iron came out that year, and that would definitely be in my top 5. So what could I do? I screwed up, but at least you
Cheat as
saved.
usual.
You threw that.
I was
you
on
threw-
top of it.
You threw the Hail Mary and I caught it. But yeah, I love that album. It's Slayer of Light, Into Battle. Great album. And I overlooked it. I should start doing my notes a week ahead of time. Chris Allo taught me this once, but I didn't do it this week. So Chris Allo, as soon as you get the assignment, get it all done a week ahead of time, add a little bit to it, and you don't have to worry about it. Like,
Yeah, I
that's
haven't been
what
getting the
Chris does.
topics until a couple days beforehand. So I'm doing like
Yeah.
homework cram. You know?
Yeah, it happens. But anyhow, so thank you. And I'm out of order because the squares moved around, but count Ralph honorable mentions, and we'll go to Nick, Steve, Tracy, and Kristian said he didn't have any.
All right, so quickly, I looked at the first list I looked at, I found 10 right away, and I didn't really dig deep. And now I'm hearing all these other albums, and I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't even on my list.
Right?
I didn't
Same
see them,
here.
like they didn't pop up. I tried to run and grab a couple, and I was just like, yeah, I'll be jumping up every 5 minutes. But some of them was like Marduk, Napalm Death, Vader, Malevolent Creation, Danzig, Circle of Snakes, War Party, Demigod by Behemoth, Suffocation, Souls to Deny. And then the ones that I had pulled out was like the Amon Amarth. This album definitely put them on the map then.
Yeah.
Mayhem's Chimera been talked about, and Dio, the final album of the Dio solo band. So it's not my-
Artwork is so good.
I love the album right before. There's so much more. I wish that was the final album, but
Yeah.
Killing Dragon. But this Exodus got put back on the map. I mean, Paul Bailoff joined the band, and they were back on the map. But after Pleasures of the Flesh back in the day, I didn't really care for Exodus for a long time. They fell off my radar. But then Bailoff being back in the band, and then when Temple of the Damned came out, this is my favorite Sousa album. The song "Shroud of Urine," that is unbelievable. This was really great comeback out for Sousa. And so the other one is Agnostic Front, Another Voice. Is one of the only ones that wasn't mentioned. They have an album called One Voice, kind of the sequel to it. Really kicks ass. Produced by Jamie Josta, and that's it.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Nick, anything from you? You got any?
I only have one.
All right.
Pentagram, Show 'em How.
Oh, nice. Really
Yeah.
nice.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Nick. I hope you make it a habit of hopping on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, this is great. It's fun.
You gotta bring your vocalist on soon. Nick.
Yeah, we'll definitely get him on.
Nick and Tony Dio is going to be best pals.
Oh yeah. Mr. Levin, what do you got left? Anything?
Yeah, I'm just gonna only mention the ones that weren't mentioned before. I mean, obviously the Deicide and the Behemoth and all that stuff. I'll name the ones that nobody mentioned. Anti-Scene, Bad Will Ambassadors. If you know the band, you know they never disappoint. Acacia Strain 3750, another one of the bands that was just popping off. I think that's either their first or second release. Really good. I used to listen to that when I was at work at the store. Battle Decapitation, Humanor. This is the old style.
Nice.
Yeah.
How could I forget that one?
Old Cap.
It's not as like spacey and like out there and just like, and it's just part of the point. I really dig them back in the old days a little bit more than I do now, even though they're still a great band. The Infernal War, Warhead Split. Infernal War is an amazing Polish band. If you like bands like Behemoth and War Metal, like the aforementioned Impiety, Infernal War is just nonstop, relentless brutality. Affiliatory, Infernal Dominion Split. Affiliatory is another band that's very similar to Infernal War. They're from Brazil. Great band. They just put out a new album and they're fucking sick. If you like Kristian and bands like that, check them out. Thunderbolt and Human Ritual Mass Murder. That's another Polish band that's doing a black metal take that a lot of people don't know about, but they're really sick. They have members from Infernal War in them. A lot of these Polish bands, they were sharing members at the time. Just a couple more. Dysentery, Gut Rot Split. I've already talked about Dysentery on the last show. Just brutal slam metal. I love them. Nothing more to say. Great stuff. Defeated Sanity, Prelude to Tragedy. Nobody mentioned that. That's a great album.
Yes, it is.
Pyrexia, Cruelty Beyond Submission. That was a compilation album that was kind of like a best of some of their early stuff. Great album. And the last band I want to mention is a screamo band that probably nobody else would say, but my daughter turned me on to them. Both my daughters actually love this band. Circle Takes the Square as the Roots undo. Really cool band, really out there, just crazy. Maybe more along the lines of like Converge, but just maybe not. I mean, that's kind of a bad comparison. But if you like screamo, check them out. And that's about it. That's a wrap.
Cool. We got a special appearance from another pet tonight. Looks like Lassie has showed up at Ed Sarso's screen.
Yeah, it's my new dog, Africa.
Reaper was here last week. Reaper's with Tony Dio at a metal concert tonight.
Yeah.
So. All right. And Daisy was here earlier, but took off somewhere. But Tracy, what do you have left to tell us?
Okay. We gave birth to Decapitated in 2004.
Yes, that was supposed to be on my list from honorables tonight. And
yeah.
I believe they played the Chance that year in one of my anniversary parties. Didn't they played with Suffocation on one of the first tours? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Cataclysm, Serenity of Fire.
Nice.
And and my final one is The Chasm. Okay. The Chasm released wait a minute, hold on, where's my notes? It's an amazing album. Spells of Retribution. Yep. That's an amazing album.
Cool. You got to talk more.
Actually, it's one of my favorite bands. We have a friend, Craig. He was stuck on what he was going to go see. And I told him, you got to go see The Chasm. And he was like, you're right. That was one killer band. They were from Mexico, but they moved to like Chicago, Illinois area.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're us now.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess is that all you have, Tracy?
Yes.
All right. So I'd like to thank.
Really quick.
Pig Destroyer, Terrifier. I don't know if we.
What's that?
Only because we just lost Blake. Yes, but that was beyond Blake.
Wanted to make a quick comment about The Chasm. Is that the singer was in Incantation for a while.
Diabolical Conquest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Barchado.
Ralph's got a cool Mastodon hat on too. There it is. So I'd like to thank all the viewers out there in YouTube land for watching us and spending your time with the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel.
I do my
And-
honorable first, sir.
That's right. I thought you didn't. I thought you did. I'm sorry.
We forgot Obie.
I'm horrible tonight. Forgot
that's all right.
Serum, forgot Obie.
Well, the first one is not really a metal album. I got into this band under Stronger Than Death, and it was such a good album. Then their album after Hellride came, and it was kind of different. And then they came out with Hangover Songs Volume 4, Black Label Society.
Nice.
It's an
Nice,
acoustic album, but it's a really good album. And also maybe one of the last things with Dimebag, Damage Plan with Newfound Power.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned both of those records tonight. Yes.
That's got Sackwell on it too, on Soul Bleed, the last song.
Mm-hmm.
Deicide and Megadeth and Fear Factory. So,
Cool.
yep,
All
we
right.
covered
so-
a lot of ground.
You know what it is,
Yes, we
Obie?
did.
I'm never used to having Obie last. That's what it
No.
was.
I never been last before.
Plus, I'm tired. I'm having a senior moment. I guess Alice says it got the olds tonight.
Yeah, that's all right.
We got the olds, and well, anyhow, thanks to Myles, Obie, Ed Farsley from Armageddon Productions, of course, the mighty Count Ralphus, Nick from Spellbook, Stephen Levin, Tracy Stanton, and Kristian for coming on tonight, and of course Frank Tosi. We'll be back next week. Next week, I think we're going to talk about Priest next week.
Ooh. There we go.
Because everyone else is talking about Priest. And there's two. I didn't say Judas Priest. I didn't say KK's Priest. But there's two priests touring the United States. So we're going to talk about the latest Judas Priest album. And we're going to talk about KK's Priest. We're going to give each album a review next week if you'd like. And we'll try to do this next Wednesday. And what you like about each album, what you don't like, give it the 1 to 10 rating, and we'll see what happens. I mean, both of these albums I think are very good. This new Judas Priest album has really stunned a lot of people, though. It's super good. And
Fucking-
I
It's
wish
like a love-hate relationship all
Well,
over. Either they hate it or they love it. It's like
I've
I've never heard like
I have not met anyone that hated the new Priest.
I
Me
thought
neither.
Firepower was great.
Yeah, it
Firepower was good too. They put out 2 good ones in a row. And I wish Iron Maiden would do something like this.
We all do.
I know that Pete Pardo was I know Count Ralphus gave me didn't give me this idea, but I thought about it. But he said Pardo's channel was doing an Invincible Shield versus the new Dickinson solo. And I thought it would be fun on our channel to talk about Priest and Priest.
Yeah, versus Priest, man.
I got to talk to you afterwards, Steve.
Well, I guess I'll let you talk to me afterwards. So anyhow, for the viewers that watch tonight, thanks for watching our YouTube channel tonight. And please take a minute to subscribe to the channel if you dig what we're doing. Hit like, all that good stuff. Spread it around on your social media. Spread the word of the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel and mention your favorite albums or concert moments or whatever from 20 years ago. Where'd it go? 2004. Thanks for watching tonight, and we'll see you next time. And